Hello. Well, welcome back to your favorite talk show, TALKSHOP, where we tell it like it is and let the chips fall where they may. And as we always say, folks, truth crashed to earth shall rise again. And we keep on saying this. It's a promise we have made that there's so much jandam. And those who are deep in the jandam, they say, okay, some you cry, you're a hypocrite. Whatever happens when you push the jandam out there, we don't care which side the jandam is coming from, we shall suffocate you with the truth. Oh yes. And let me say this, the question that is on the lips of many is, what time is it? And the answer is always nation time. Nation time. And let me, I don't even like saying these things because when I get your responses, I can tell that many of you there really support the cause that we need to build this nation, and we will. And those of you who do not support it, for whatever reason, we will keep insisting on this all the time. Well, today, folks, I have something critical to talk about. I always do. But this issue, let's look at it one more time. This strike by nurses and strike. We'll talk about that. But before that, let me tell you something. This Father's Day, don't forget it's Sunday coming, June 15th. Over at Cactus Creek, we have an event called KSM On The Grill. I'm going to be grilling some stuff that will blow your mind. And not just meat, even vegetarian. Trust me. But I want you to show up on June 15th. Come and celebrate the fathers, the gallant men. Show them some love, man. Okay. And I'm hanging out with one of the best DJs in Ghana, Ni Ayitegu. So I expect to see you all on June 15th at Cactus Creek, starting exactly at 1 p.m. In the meantime, folks, let's do some thinking here, man. Let's do some thinking here. And today, folks, I want us to reverse just a little bit. Not going to hit you or anything, but I want you to reverse just a little bit. We have come out of chaotic times. I mean, you all know it. We have come out of chaotic times, whether you like it or not. This is not my feeling, or this is not the KSM's opinion. This is a fact that we have come out of chaotic times. And I remember saying this, those of you who probably go further back onto my shows, before the election, I kept saying, hey, what does JM even want? I said, now JM, why does he want to run again? Because I was perceiving that the level of chaos that was in the country, why are people even rushing to be president of Ghana? Because there's so much work to be done. You know why I'm saying this? Because in all honesty, I thought the depth to which we have sunk was so deep. It is deep. However, folks, what has really surprised many of us is the amazing way in which within like a few months, our cedi started appreciating. Follow me small. I know what I'm talking about. The appreciation of the cedi and because it appreciated, inflation sort of came down, people's purchasing power sort of increased. And I say, well, this is a good start. I don't think there's anybody out there in Ghana who really believed that we could see those changes. Nobody. To the extent that even when the changes came, people were like, oh, but this is just luck. This has nothing to do with anything or any policy, it's just luck. Why? Because we were all so alarmed. Now let me move forward. You know, as a nation like Ghana, who is interested in building this nation, and we are, folks, when I think that when we see initial signs that, hey, Charlie, it seems something is being done right. it seems we are heading in the right direction. At least it has started with the appreciation of our currency. So all I said and all I'm saying then is that, well, then let's all support this. That's all. Let's all support this. Now I'm saying all these things to say that this is not the time I was expecting any strike action from anyone. Forget about nurses, nurses are the ones in question now, but I'm talking about generally as a people. Made me feel said this is the time anchor. We're all going to decide that, okay, things seem to be changing for the better. Why don't we all put in all we can so that it does change for the better, so that me and you will benefit? What about benefits that came from the changes were not partisan benefits? They were national benefits. So in my mind, I was thinking, say, with the signs that were coming up, we will decide, say, Charlie, whatever it is, we all need to put in some sacrifices for this nation. That's all I've been saying. We all need to. So I am saying that it is not the point where I was expecting such a strike from the nurses. You know something, folks? When I talk to people, and I talk to lots of young people, every time, and they tell me, KSM, well, give us advice, what, you know, like career advice, blah, blah, blah. You know what I tell them? I said, everybody in this world, no matter your age, but especially young people, I say, listen, really do a self-examination and decide for yourself, what is that one important thing that is so beneficial that you want to accomplish? I ask them all the time, what is that one thing in your life that you want to accomplish? That's the first question I ask them. Then when they answer, I say, what are you willing to sacrifice to get that? And you see, it's a two-pronged thing. First is, what is that thing that you need so much? Then I ask you, you need it so much, what are you willing to sacrifice to get it? You know why I'm talking plenty like this? I've seen the list of what the nurses' needs are. I've seen the list. You know, they include book and research allowance, there's uniform allowance, there's fuel allowance, there's the 13th month allowance, there's night out of station, there's the vehicle allowance, there's the kilometric allowance, there's the funeral grant. Folks, these are the list that the nurses are saying, this is so dear to us. We want this. These things are owed us. I understand. So my next question was, since this thing is so dear to you, what is it are you willing to sacrifice so that you can get it? You see where I'm getting to? Because I say, ask yourself two questions. A day in partner here will be and a day in sacrifice, now you want to move for it. So the nurses have told us exactly what they want. And the question is, so what are you willing to sacrifice? And they say, well, we are going on strike. And I say, hold on, you are nurses. You are in the front line. This is not your first strike. You've gone on strike a few times. People have died. You are in the front line. If you go on strike, people die. And so, well, this is what we are willing to sacrifice to get what we want. Really? Have you thought about it? That's all it boils down to. You have an aim, you have a goal for which you want to accomplish. And whatever you need to sacrifice is what you do. And I'm sorry, this goes for all nurses or doctors are not on strike, and doctors too, that when in the interest of fighting for these things, unfortunately for the category that you belong to, what you are willing to sacrifice is nothing but the lives of your patients. And no, please, follow me. That is why nursing, I'm not saying it should be a free job. No. Why? Who can exist without money? So don't make it so trivial. Say, KSM says you are nursing, they don't pay you, it's okay. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that at any cost, save human lives. Even if you have to prolong your negotiation with the government, even if all of us have to jump in and make sure that your negotiation with government goes on, in the meantime, in between time, it should not be at the sacrifice of human lives. It is painful. I want you to take a look at the video of this lady. I don't have her permission. It went viral, so I just decided to pick it and show it. Just listen, look at this one.
So, workers at Kolebu Teaching Hospital. And then, my uncle had a serious asthma attack. He was struggling not from Nana or pray, but because you people are on strike, you refuse to even take care of him. Even after his wife was demanding, say, she's going to pay every amount. Ye profession, we are all humans. So, a young man at the age of 30 years, he married just 3 years ago. 3 years ago, so yeah, this December will be 3 years. He doesn't have a kid. He had an asthma attack. I can't tell you, say, you guys are on strike into unfun. Yeah, Damasi, he's dead. Yeah, the not question much. Yeah, Damasi, we are grateful to you people. See, you profession soon, Chaya, Mumma and Kasi and any pow. And you money and I be. Now, so we are some men show your when Nang Yanebonny. He is dead. Yes, well, thank you to whoever they met there. Where do you want to know? Yeah, that's it. Yes, so, yeah, the idea of we will bury him. A rademo where you man and costu. No more quatenting. You, that person that was in charge. Near me, Yakran says, you said you are on strike. Into woman fanning kononko. Well, yeah, the not question much. Yeah, Damasi. Why?
You know, this is just one out of many.
38-year-old Zilla Okine is 9 months pregnant and battling severe stomach pain. She journeyed from Teshi to the Adabraka Polyclinic, desperately seeking medical care. But upon arrival, she met a painful reality. The facility was almost deserted. Nurses, who would have typically been the first point of contact, were nowhere to be found.
Maybe antenatal. Maybe I will be any honomo, and I'm anti information. Be as we say, baby, say ever coso till say my baby home.
Her hopes of finding relief were dashed. Tears welled up in her eyes as the pain grew worse, with no one immediately available to help.
Fiti and run on my run is a basin, so maybe no more checking, but unfortunately, bedroom animal saying it will be any animals. I'm feeling me when I mean. I'm a catcher, me say I'm called OPD. I OPD for so almost so good Juma. So I was saying I'm coffee.
Look, there are people all over this country who are dying.
I think looking at the trend of death, checking the past and now, death toll has increased significantly. And it is not surprising because of the impact of the nurse's absence. What we are seeing is that averagely, where, for instance, we are supposed to record about 10 a day, we are recording about 20-25. It tells you that the absence of our nurses is becoming so severe that people are recording death and the mortuaries are becoming very soon. I'm not too sure. We will declare the mortuaries full. And when we get to that time, I don't know how we're going to handle this.
And let me tell you something that calms my heart down a bit, and then at the same time makes me very sad. What calms me down is that after I did the first show on this, some private nurses who I knew and things like that told me, KSM, honestly, KSM, we would, or let me say, the few ones that I spoke to said, they would rather be on the job. I said, so why don't you go and work? He says, no, is all from our leadership. We are a union, and if the leadership has decided that we must strike, we have to strike. But I say, KSM, trust me, there are many, many nurses who will otherwise want to work. That's a fact. You know, so I was quite, somehow in my mind it's like, yeah, all the nurses are so angry, people can die if they want. No, not all of them are thinking like that. There are some, and a considerable number, who don't like what they are seeing. They have mothers, they have brothers, they have fathers, they have relatives, friends who are dying. And ideally, they would have rather been at work to do the best that they can. But hey, leader needs to say. And that's the thing, folks. It says it's the leadership. So while I was happy to realize that there are a group of nurses who really are not keen on what is happening, that gladdened my heart. But what saddened my heart was that the leadership or the leaders that have called for the strike are not even in the country. You know, I've heard the health minister saying, I'm doing all I can to find the leaders to sit down with, because we have to get back to the negotiating table so we save lives. But the leaders, those in the forefront, those who have called the strike, that people can die if they want. No.
Let me be very, very frank with you, sir. As I speak to you now, my friend, the leaders are not available even in the country.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you, I didn't want to say this. Today, I have called personally, beyond all legality, to say, oh, I have to worry anything and reach out. They're not in the country as I speak to you now.
Oh.
But we need to engage, even tonight. Where am I getting them?
Oh.
They are not in the country.
Nah.
I saw my mother in the grave.
Oh, mu declare striking or mu
I am telling you, Obi, I'm not missing words.
That to me sends a very dangerous signal. That to me sends a very dangerous signal. Look, leadership and calling for a strike, especially of nurses, and knowing the consequences of what will come out of a strike by nurses, leadership should be saying, whatever it takes, whatever negotiation it takes, we are willing to sit down and partake in this as long as it takes to arrive at a solution. But folks, to call for a nationwide strike and to leave town sends a different signal altogether. I'm not going to go into the signals it's sending. It's not my, it doesn't bother me, because you know what signals it sends. But I want you to think about this. What does it mean? What does it mean? People are dying. Folks, you know, it always gets back to the same thing. Say, but the demands that they want, shouldn't the government take care of it? Yes! Why shouldn't they? And whatever mistakes that the government or governments have made or have ignored this thing, sure, we want to make sure that there's a final and speedy resolution to this. But all I was saying was that at least we have seen some semblance. We have seen some semblance of changes coming into the system. Let us embrace this and let us push this. And this is not the time to be so intransigent. Say, these are our needs, and whatever it takes, we need our needs, and we need it now. And I have nothing to talk to you about. I'm even going to leave the country so that you can't even tell me to come and sit down and talk. And the next is that I was thinking, it's KSM, your leaders now call. We can't break ranks and go. It's a call from our leadership. So I'm just asking the nurses, what do you yourself assess of this whole thing? That people are dying, Some of you are worried. Some of you are disturbed, but you have nothing to do because your leader says don't go to work. And the leader is not even in the country, or your leaders are not ready to sit down and negotiate. Would you think that this will not encourage plenty other interpretations of what is going on? True or untrue, but this is what it will encourage. I beg. And to the Minister Akanda, Honorable Akanda, please, I know you are doing whatever you can to get the nurses back to the table to dialogue. If nobody knows, so maybe when people die, then something will prick the consciences of the leaders. So now we have caused enough death. Let's talk. But if they ever decide to come to the table, please, you do whatever I can. I hate to suggest things to you. You are the ones in the roles of dialoguing with them. You know what they say and whatever. Please, whatever happens, make sure that the minimal agreement you can come to get them to go back to work, at least that is accomplished. Folks, we're trying to build this nation. No, folks, it is getting to a point where, let me tell you, nurses, you are losing public sympathy. You're losing public sympathy. You may be gaining some political attention because when it comes to politics, no matter the situation, politics will always favor somebody. That is the sad part about partisan politics in our part of the world. No matter what, politics will favor somebody. So while you're losing public sympathy, you may be getting or gaining some attention from some other angle politically. That's your business. But I want to assure you that you're losing the sympathy of the public. You know, I mean, look at Akanda at this point calling that if there are any nurses who are retired who want to come and help, please come and help.
Given the urgency of the situation and suffering of the patients, government appeals to public-spirited retired nurses and midwives to volunteer their services for a brief period pending the resolution of the impasse.
At dainty, because nipe woo, a retired nurse. They are finished, they are now moved on, they are now being called. And I hope, you know, all nurses, whether retired, whether whatever, I don't know how you can actually get into the system and help save lives. And when you know, at what point will somebody call for somebody who's retired to come back? Which means it has gotten to the point that those that are working are becoming so intransigent. Say, what can they into? People are beg nurses. People are beg nurses. Nurses, and don't lose the sympathy of the public, because we have always been there for you. We have always been there for you. But it gets to a certain point that you are now telling the public, to hell with you. What we want is what I have said, and if you don't get them, you guys move. Just imagine all you nurses right here in Accra and in the cities, the villages, your moms, your brothers, your children, who are getting sick but have no attention because the leaders say you should go on strike. Massa, I was glad to hear though that, and I hope they don't go and penalize them, but in some of the villages, in the chip compounds, some few nurses say they want to work. I heard them, they were on TV this morning. This lady said, I can't even mention where I am, because when I mention, they will be very angry and they will send people to tell me not to go to work, so I won't mention where I am. But I am part of this community. It's a chip compound. It says, she is a family, she's part of them, so she can't stay home while people are going to the CHIPS compound and are sick and need help. So she actually called to say she's at work. She says when she was going to work, she didn't even dress as a nurse. She had to wear some other things, and there's a plain clothes when you're a nurse, but she had to go and work. This is the situation, nurses. Some of your colleagues in the villages and the CHIP compounds say that what the leaders are doing is affecting people. They are dying regardless of that. No. So let me say bluntly, I'm putting everything right now at the foot of the leaders. You leaders, you didn't try one bit. You didn't try. Massa, how can you call for a strike where people will die and leave the country?
Let me be very, very frank with you, sir. As I speak to you now, my friend, the leaders are not available even in the country.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you, I didn't want to say this. Today, I have called personally, beyond all legality, to say, oh, I have to worry anything and reach out. They're not in the country as I speak to you now.
Oh.
But we need to engage, even tonight. Where am I getting them?
Oh.
They are not in the country.
Nah.
I saw my mother in the grave.
Oh, mu declare striking on Matuka.
I am telling you, Obi, I'm not missing words.
Do you know what it says of you? That you are extremely, extremely selfish and uncaring. And you go to all ends to get only what you want. That is selfishness. Massa, it is extremely selfish. Massa, let's put everything aside. I've seen the benefits. And I'm saying that I respect the fact that you are calling for benefits. But let me say this in addition to that. Do you know how many people are working in different government organizations that need the same benefits? Do you know? You think it's only nurses? You think it's only nurses that they say, oh, yeah, prefer allowance? And look, for everybody, it's not for every nurse. Most of you nurses, you don't have even bicycles, you walk to work, no, you take public transport, so the fuel allowance, book and research is for the top level, it's not even a whole thing, book, So all I'm saying is this. There's very many people in different aspects of working for government who needs benefits. So fine, but the master tea. Okay, good. So you have captured all our attention in terms of the benefits, fine. Let's start somewhere and work towards it. But don't decree that I want it now, and if it doesn't happen now, dear,
I think looking at the trend of death, dating back, checking the past and now, death toll has increased significantly. And it is not surprising because of the impact of the nurse's absence. What we are seeing is that averagely, where, for instance, we are supposed to record about 10 a day, we are recording about 20, 25. It tells you that the absence of our nurses is becoming so severe that people are recording death and the mortuaries are becoming very soon. I'm not too sure. We will declare the mortuaries full. And when we get to that time, I don't know how we're going to handle this.
You think the soldiers who are working, the police force, I've been to some police barracks, man. Let me tell you, Makumu police barracks, where people are living with the family, one room. They have to now put their deep freezers in the veranda because it can't fit in the room with the wife and children. I mean, decrepit conditions. You think they don't need benefits? Firemen, immigration, you don't think they need benefits? They all do. It's sad that the Constitution says that only the uniformed forces, because of the security reasons, they can't go on strike. I suggest that if ever there's a constitutional review or whatever, who has a part review, it should include doctors and nurses. You can't go on strike. And at the same time, I also tell the government, make sure that you take care of them well, as much as reasonable. But that free for all said, there. Doctors and nursing, you must stop. It doesn't make sense. Leaders, I'm putting the blame on all the leaders. Leaders are the government leaders who have ignored it. Some, like what we are having now, it's not that they've ignored it. They say, come to the table and let's talk. You bring a decision be. Let's talk. Anyway, nurses, I'm just saying that, yeah, you say your leaders say don't go, so you don't go. Let me see how long it will take. The negotiations are going on. People are still begging you. Your own brothers are dying and sisters are dying. Your own fellow human beings are Ghanaians.
So workers at Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and then my uncle had a serious asthma attack. He was struggling not from Nana or pray, but because you people are on strike, you refuse to even take care of him. Even after his wife was demanding, say, she's going to pay every amount. Ye profession, we are all humans. So, a young man at the age of 30 years, he married just 3 years ago. 3 years ago, so yeah, this December will be 3 years. He doesn't have a kid. He had an asthma attack. I can't tell you, say, you guys are on strike into unfanenko. Yeah, Damasi, he's dead. Yeah, the question much. Yeah, Damasi, we are grateful to you people. See, you profession soon, Chaya, Mumayan Kasi and any pow. And you money and I be. Now, so we are some men show your when Nanyane Bonnet. He is dead. Yes, well, thank you to whoever they met there. Where do you want to know? Yeah, that's it. Yes, so, yeah, the idea of we will bury him. A rademo where you man and costu. No more quatenting. You, that person that was in charge. Near me, Yakran says, I your bar. You said you are on strike. Into woman fanning kononko. Well, yeah, the na question much. Yeah, Damasi. Why?
And let me repeat that those who are dying are those who can't afford the kinds of services that you provide. That's why they are dying. Look at the story you just heard. They died in Kolebu. I'm sure if that young guy had some private doctor at the Eurocare or bank hospital, they would have gone there. They don't. They don't. So the sad thing is that those who will suffer most from this are your own kith and kin. Now I just want you yourself to think, say, if you have a relative somewhere who's seeking help but that can't get because the leader says she should go on strike, what do you think of it? Now I don't want to blame you general nurses too much because those that I've spoken to, maybe they are lying, but at least they have told me that KSM, and your fault. The leaders have called for it, so we have to go. You let them call today that we should resume work in the next 5 minutes. We will all come back. So leaders is in your court. If the government says come and sit down, go and sit down and talk. And I beg all the retired nurses, anybody who can help. Mini nursing background, anybody who has the health thing that can help, we need you. People are dying. And let's not be deceived into thinking that the nurses who work in the UK, the nurses who work in Germany, the nurses who work in the US do not have issues. Oh, trust me, if you want to sit down with them one-on-one to trash out certain issues, everybody wants some benefits. Even the nurses in these developed places that I'm talking about also have issues, but they will never, at any stage in their lives, decide that we will sacrifice human lives because we don't have what we want. So leadership, I think among the other things that you have to explain when you decide to come back to Ghana is explain to Ghanaians why you call the strike that will involve human lives dying at around the same time you were not in the country even to sit down to negotiate. That's all I can say, folks. And I hope that when I come back next time, I'll be coming back with better news that finally the leaders have come to their senses and have decided that the death of human beings, like I say all the time, folks, these things will happen, but it is part of this initial turbulence. But whatever happens, this country will definitely rise again.